Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Automation for Good session. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today and welcoming you all. It's an honor for me. I am passionate about Automation for Good, and I hope you are too. So, you've probably seen that, and I think you already know from the video, that automation can deliver also other kinds of benefits. It can help us achieve positive change. Whether we talk about a positive impact on the employees, on the organizations, but also on society as a whole. And we can think about examples such as sustainability outcomes, as we've seen earlier, or we can think about inclusion and diversity, helping make the world more equal. But in order to make that happen at the larger scale, in order to increase our impact, what we need the most is inspiration. And what's better than hearing directly from the people that use this technology to achieve these kinds of benefits? So with that in mind, it is a pleasure and an honor to introduce you to the first speaker of today's Automation for Good session, Eduard, founder of ECTIVE Automation, who will be sharing an incredible story about how this technology, how automation help manage the Ukrainian refugee crisis. So everyone, let's welcome Eduard to the stage. Hi there, such a pleasure to be here. Good luck.
Thank you. Indeed, it is really a pleasure to present for you today, and for most of my presentations I do as a founder of the automation services company, it is always about business success, automation, technology, etc. And this presentation is quite different. This is starting in February this year, and then following in March and April, I volunteered to wear a quite different hat than the hat of a business guy, and I went into the volunteering exercise. So I want today to share with you my experience with the volunteering in facing the Ukrainian crisis. We are located in Slovakia. It is a neighbor country to Ukraine, and we were quite heavily feeling the impact on all the levels, on my personal, as I'm Ukrainian, as well as on the company, as we have an employees there, and as well as citizen of Slovakia as a neighbor country there. And I would like to start with a disclaimer that I was part of organization which was, and I had, under my accountability, I had the accommodation part, but the whole project is much bigger, and there are some people which are behind it. This is not the whole list. We all were operating online, and I would like to give a credit to people on the screen, as well as the second part of it was that besides all the other volunteers, there were 5 employees in total joining from our company. So 2 of them are Jana Stalosh and Zuzana Holeciova, who joined at the very first days of the project. And there were 2 other guys who were actually living in Ukraine, and at the first day, while male were still able to leave the country, they left and they joined our Bratislava office to face the crisis as well there. So with that having said, as you know, 24th of February 2022, Russia started a war against Ukraine. And the pictures which you will see on the screen are the real photos taken by our volunteers on the borders. So people from the first day started to pack the things, and actually with kids, with newborns, with dogs, first day also men were able to leave the country. They pack everything valuable and they left actually nowhere. Not many of them had some relatives in the neighbor countries, etc. They were not living for something, but they were mainly living from something, from the disastrous situation in their towns. So, and the first problem which we were facing with this situation was that those people managed successfully to cross like half of the Ukraine, the whole Ukraine, reach the border, cross it, and then not many of them had the place where to stay. So the first problem which we were facing was an accommodation. And while starting to work with the project, I will walk you through the timeline, we very quickly realized that it is not possible to rely on self-services, so that the refugees would book the service for themselves, etc., because there is a confusion. So meaning that people are in stress, sometimes they don't know what border they are at, etc. So the decision was to build a call center, and the very first day we started, we posted on the social media, we posted the forms in Slovakia encouraging Slovak people to provide their accommodations for free to the refugees. So if there was an owner of the flat or owner of the house, they were encouraged to provide it if they have a free for the refugees. And at the very first day, we got over 200 offers with accommodation with capacity of over 750 places. And then and also the same day, 2 of my colleagues managed to cross the border 2 hours before it closed for men to leave the country. The second day I would call the mess day, mainly because we get many different volunteers in place and everyone was trying to figure out how actually we would approach the situation, we would approach the crisis. The third day, the main milestone for me was that we were offered to take care about the accommodation, so fully take accountability of the accommodation piece and build the operations and technical solution for it end to end. And then actually the fourth day, we started to form the team, and on the last day, actually the fourth day, we also launched and encouraged people with bilingual people from Slovakia who speak Ukrainian and Slovak to join the team, to be able to call refugees from Ukraine, but also Slovak-speaking people as the drivers and the accommodation owners. And at the very first day, 36 people applied. And then the fifth day and the third working day, because we were working also over the weekend, the fifth day, we launched the 24/7 call center from scratch with more than 50 people on board calling and processing the requests. And now I would like to walk you through, this is a little bit the timeline of the solution, I would like to walk you through how it actually worked. So main, it's hard to call it here stakeholders, but indeed main stakeholders involved in this activity were, first of all, refugees, then accommodation providers, drivers, and the call center itself. And then on backwards, there was also the system which was coordinating it all, built mainly from scratch, combining the different technologies. And how it worked was that, as I mentioned before, we started to get the help offers at the very first day. Some people were providing with saying, okay, I have a flat, or I have a small hotel, a pension, or something like that. Some people were saying, I cannot provide with any accommodation, I can just maybe pay for someone in a hotel, or I don't have any money, I don't have a property, but I have a driving license, and I can just drive from border to any place in Slovakia where I can bring those people. Then the next thing is the help request itself. So we started actively to promote the platform on the borders, in Ukrainian communities, in Ukraine, etc. And then once any of the requests hits the system, it was all consolidated, and I must say that we had at some times to prioritize those requests because we were not always able to process all of them. So system was consolidating the information and providing this prioritization based on the kids, based on other aspects which we had there. Then it was bringing it in front of call center agent, which was first of all calling refugee, making sure that the information provided in the request is correct, because again, those people were confused. They were traveling across the country. They spent quite some time on the border, and it was we had a lot of information when we called the person, and we realized that they provided different information that is actual. After getting all the actual information, we started with looking for the good accommodation for them in our systems in between the help offers. After we have the accommodation, we proceed with the driver, and having driver, we were consolidating it all. Call center agent was putting it in a system, and then actually system was generating an SMS and email to all parties involved saying that these are your contact people, contact persons, which will be with you through your journey. After that, we have the pickup of refugee itself, we have the accommodation part, and after accommodation, the story wasn't over. Our call center was still calling to make sure that they arrive safely, and after they arrive safely, on the next day, we were calling them to collect also other needs that they have, because the most important was to get the roof above their heads, but then afterwards there were aspects of some financial help, material help, psychological help, etc. So it all was categorized in a system and then sent over to other companies, other groups of volunteering organizations, and pick it up from there. And talking of this process, there were over 5,000 people going through this process, and they were accommodated through our organization, where over 2,000 of them were kids. And then, speaking of this, there is one, I would say, the quite negatively surprising fact I learned about it. And now, let's imagine exercise. So imagine that you are a young girl from eastern part of Ukraine, which territory was being bombed, and then you decide to leave your town, again, keep taking all your valuables, and then start to travel. And the trip, which usually would take few hours, was taking days because of infrastructure, the roads and railways were also bombed. So then finally you approach the border, and once you approach the border, you spend another 15, 20 hours on crossing it, and finally you cross the border. So finally you can say, finally, yes, I am there. And then the story continues. You are approached by some proactive person saying, hey, we have accommodation for you, we have a drive, we can arrange the drive for you, etc. You get into the car, you get the ride and everything, and then you get raped, or you get into the hands of human trafficking. So it was the really negative surprise which we realized was actually happening. In addition to that, there was a weird Facebook campaigns with the messaging of ladies, girls, with providing the easy way of making money. And how our system was preventing it is that, first of all, our system contained all the information about each party involved, as well as time tracking and log for all the events. So we were making sure that person arrived safely or people arrived safely, they are all set and everything, as well as we started to raise the awareness on the borders, involving police, starting additional checks, etc., and having our hotspots, which were preventing the situation, saying, okay, don't sit to any car, to any stranger, but actually follow with the checked and validated organization. The second solution which we had was related with the data organization, because we were not the only organization operating there, and there were many smaller or bigger initiatives which were doing similar things in a different manner. And the problem we faced quite early was that as data were not synchronized, the accommodation which shows in our system available was occupied by any other organization or volunteered on Facebook, etc. And then also, the other problem which we had related with that is that once the refugee actually changed the accommodation or moved somewhere else, we were not having the data updated in a system. And then additional problems which were related with that is that some different organizations had a different approach how to collect those data. Some were collecting in a plain text, what was quite fun to work with. And even those who are more structured, and even us, we at the very beginning did not consider in all the stress and pace, etc., we did not consider aspects as a limited mobility or pets or availability of landlords, because you may provide your flat for refugees, but maybe you are not the most excited when we call you at 5 a.m., etc. So what was the solution is that we have built a voice bot which was actually calling people and asking different questions to validate the information. It was using conversational AI, so you did not need to press 1 or 2 or say yes or no. But if you say that you are available next Tuesday afternoon, it was converting it to daytime and still bringing it in a system for our agents to see it. As well as this voice bot Ksenia was named after our colleague, which spent quite some time in Kharkiv while her city was bombed. She was in underground helping and volunteering for other people to support them. So what was the functionality is that with pressing the button, Ksenia was calling over 5,000 people within 10 minutes, what was quite relieving actually for us and empowering us to deploy it in a larger scale. And Ksenia was asking about the accommodation availability, about the current capacity, when is the best time to approach landlord, limited mobility access, or pets details. And then as a result, we always had actual data. We have a time, the time which we spend in a call center for accommodation search was reduced more than 5 times. And we were able to accommodate people with limited mobility because we had a separate category in our database to easily search for that. So, and some interesting facts about how the call center was actually running. There were some refugees coming to our office just to volunteer and be the part of call center to accommodate other refugees, and you can see the couple on the picture there. Then also, we were the only organization using these chatbots, and we were doing it quite effectively, I must say. We, on a government level, was to go to organization for so-called non-standard cases as a wheelchair or limited access aspect, as well as limited mobility access, as well as the cases with pets. So, for example, we were accommodating between other different cases the lady with over 30 cats and 4 dogs. It was on a farm outside of the city. And many organizations in Slovakia were approaching us saying, look, we have a data, we have people willing to provide accommodation or drivers, but we are not able to process it effectively. Take it, it's all yours. And last but not least, we were handing over our way of operating to Ministry of Internal Affairs, to Ministry of Transportation, and different local organizations to actually make it more efficient. And then the third aspect of the help which was provided by organization was a help center. And I would very quickly jump through it because I think that it is quite self-explanatory. So people, on the one hand, Slovak people were able to bring the clothes and food and everything. We were sorting it out, and then Ukrainians can come in as a shop. It was in shopping center. It wasn't somewhere out of the city on the warehouse. They were coming in and getting what they need for free. And the problem which we faced was that there was a high demand and we had a queue. And in addition to it, there were some people which were unfortunately cheating, so meaning that they were coming a few times a day or even like few days in a row. So the solution was the reservation system, which was actually trying to prevent this cheating mechanism, as well as you could do the reservation from house, and you knew exact time when to come and when to arrive and when to get the material support. And as a result of this, we were recognized also by President of Slovakia in the middle of on the picture. She also visited the help center, not to get any help, but actually to see us and congratulate us for the success. And talking of the initiative itself, this material help, it was processing over 400 people daily, and along the way, it helped over 25,000 families. So these are the main 3 problem/solution cases I wanted to bring in front of you. And for now, let's summarize. So first of all, talking of organization in numbers, just as a recap, we have managed to accommodate over 5,000 people. We have collected more than 1.8 million in donations, which were later spread among the different organizations. We have helped with the material help over 25,000 families. And besides that, remember this categorization part which I have mentioned, we were providing with other services to people like psychological help, financial support, job search, etc. So, and there were many more cases. I was actually having challenges to bring it all on the slide as having time limited, but these are main highlights which I wanted to share today with you. And talking of UiPath, what role UiPath played in this journey was that as for technical people, whenever we were running it, and just to highlight that we were running it not only from the technical perspective, but also operations perspective. So we let our people from office to work from home. We send them out to work from home. And in our office, plus we rented few more floors in the building, there was over 150 volunteers working from the call center actually to help those people, everything just with a volunteering basis. So we didn't have any employees paid, etc. And whenever any organization was saying, hey guys, will it be possible, this or that, etc., we were always confidently answering that yes, it is possible, because we know that with UiPath we can do really a lot. And this professional aspect resulted also into a social aspect, which we can see on the screen. So it resulted into safety and well-being of the refugees. And as a main takeaway from this story, what I realized is that you may have all the resources about the accommodation, about the drivers, etc., but sometimes it's not only about having those resources, money or whatever, but also it's about smart and efficient way of managing it, which was the key thing in this project. So the non-profit organizations are needing the professionals to stream those resources well. So with this having said, thank you very much. It is a pleasure presenting to you today. And if you decide to get in touch with me, be it on this topic or any business topics, I would be glad talking to you. Thank you.
Let's give it a big shout out, a big round of applause. I am so humbled to be sharing the stage with you. I have a couple more questions because I just think that what you just shared is beyond, it's beyond something that I could have imagined. I want to understand from you, what are the key lessons learned and also maybe some of the biggest challenges that you have faced?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Margareta. So first of all, talking of challenges, the biggest challenge for us was, and for me personally, as a business person, you work until the job is done, until the work is done. And here, there were moments, not one day, not two, but like many days, when it is 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., you close your laptop, you know that you accommodated today maybe 250, 300 people, and another 800 are left on the street because you cannot process all. And those people were sleeping in a train, sleeping on the street, etc. So this was definitely the biggest challenge. And the takeaways are that in this crisis situation, you can really do a lot. You can work much more than 8, 10, even sometimes 20 hours. You just borrow it from the future. So later, like your body and your brain will remind you that, hey, it is not for free, let's talk, yeah? So this were like one of the learnings we not only observe, but also feel.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. What do you think about technology and humanitarian aid? What kind of advice would you give to other organizations struggling with similar challenges, working towards the same goals?
Yeah. So talking of that one, I must say that like it is a very sensitive topic, yeah, with the refugees and everything. In the same time, on the second, third, or fourth day, I was really opposite to empathic or sensitive to this topic. I was really approaching it super cold as business, working this 14, 15 hours a day. And I was taking very business-like in terms of you build the processes, you build the operation, you think about how it will be the most efficient. The only difference in outcome is that you don't get money as a result of your work. The KPI is not money, but the number of people you have helped. So the key takeaway is that non-profit organizations should still approach the problem, any kind of humanitarian problem, as business, as very professionally, and involving good professionals from technology side, implementation side, etc. And I would like to encourage technical people to a little bit look around what are the initiatives around them and be involved, because it is not only about the sweethearts which are willing to go and help there with anything, but those organizations really need professionals to handle and work with those resources well.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. Such an inspiration, right? Let's give it another round of applause. I hope you guys are as thrilled as I am to be hearing these kinds of stories, right? So we're going to take a quick break, 5 minutes, and then we're going to see each other again for the next Automation for Good session. So see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.